Hi, good morning, girls. I hope you and your families are all well. I went into shul on Wednesday. I hadn't been to shul in a long time, in a few weeks, since before Pesach. It was very strange. I went in because it was Yom Ha'atzmaut, and we were doing this great big davening with a few different shuls coming together, and I was leading it on behalf of Steen Court. It was really beautiful, a really beautiful davening. But when I first walked into shul before davening, I was so upset. I was so upset to walk into my shul, and it was so empty. And I wanted to cry. And I realised it's Yom Ha'atzmaut, it's a happy day. And then I realised I've got to change my perspective. I've got to be so grateful that I'm one of the few people that's legally allowed to go into shul. And that got me thinking. Parshas Acharei Kedoshim this week, like last week, it's a double parsha. Parshas Kedoshim, Kedoshim means holy. A small word with such big meaning. What does that mean? It's the same idea. Change in perspective. Let me tell you a quick story. It's quite a common scene on Motzei Shabbos for great big crowds to be waiting at the bus stops to get back home. People go away to their parents, to their in-laws, to their children. People go away a lot for Shabbos in Israel. One particular Motzei Shabbos, there's a great big crowd waiting at the bus stop in Bnei Brak for the last 4:02, the last bus back to Jerusalem. And they're waiting, and they're waiting, and the bus just doesn't show. And they're getting nervous. And they're calling around and they're trying to reach the taxi companies and the bus company. And they're just waiting for this bus. People are getting more and more nervous. They're feeling quite stranded. And suddenly a bus starts trudging down the road and everyone gets excited and starts pushing to the front. And they look. And they realise it's not the 4:02. It's the 2:10 bus. Everyone knows the 2:10 bus in Bnei Brak goes to Ashdod. It's the opposite direction. That's not going to help them. There's only one person in the crowd that wants to go to Ashdod. The bus turns up and he steps on the bus. This old man. He doesn't look behind him. He gets in, he sits down, the doors close. The door's about to pull off. And some of the people are getting so nervous they start banging on and knocking on the bus. The bus door opens his doors and he says, "What do you want?" And they said, Nahag, please, we need to get to Jerusalem. The bus driver says, Asma, what do you want from me? What do you want me to do? I'm the bus driver of the 2:10. I'm going to Ashdod. You want the 402 bus? They said, we know we want the 402 bus, but it's not come. He says, don't worry, it'll still come. They said, no, it was supposed to be here 15 minutes ago. It's not arrived. We've called the bus company and they've said we can't even get through to them. He says, listen, I can't help you. I feel bad for you, but I can't help you. I'm going to Ashdod. They begged him. They said, please, have Rahmanas, have pity on us. He says, listen, I could lose my job over this. They said, please, it'll be such a mitzvah. We won't tell anyone. He's thinking. They realize that maybe they're going to get somewhere with him. They said, please, we've no other choice. We're standing out here. We've got little kids. Do us a favor. The driver says, okay, get on the bus. But please, just don't tell anyone. Let's not make a fuss of this. The people are so happy. They're so grateful. They get on the bus. They sit down quietly. They're so grateful. The old man who got on the bus and he was going to Ashdod, he knew the bus driver. And he turns around to the bus driver and he says, Achi, I don't understand. You're a nice guy. But what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you going out of your way? We're supposed to go to Ashdod and what are you doing? This is not the 4:02 bus. And the driver says, let me tell you, this is the 4:02 bus. I'm late. I'm a quarter of an hour late. I got stopped. It's not really my fault. It's not the point. I knew if I came down the road and I'm 15 minutes late, I was going to get shouted at and abused. And I didn't have to, I didn't want that. So I decided to change the number on the bus to 210 before I came round the corner. Now they think I'm doing them a favour. Really, I'm the 402 bus. What changed? The people had a shift in perspective with dramatically different results. That's all it took. A little change. This week, Parshas Kedoshim, about being holy. What does it mean? So one mitzvah in this week's parasha is the mitzvah of Orla, not to eat the fruits in the first 3 years. And the Gemara actually learns from this mitzvah the importance of saying a bracha before we eat. You're about to eat an apple, borei peri ha'etz. You're about to have some chewing gum, a sweet, a drink, shakol ne'abedvara. Rav Hirsch explains, why does the Gemara choose to pick this mitzvah as the source for saying a bracha before we eat? There's nothing holy about an apple, about a sweet, about a drink. There's nothing holy about it. An apple is not a special apple. It's just an apple. Says Rav Hirsch that that's the ability and the power that we have. When we recognize that this apple comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we get to choose. We have the ability to infuse this apple with holiness, with Kedusha. It's all about the change in our perspective. And I think that's an important message for me and for all of us, that we have to stay indoors. And we can look at this as, oh, when are we going back? It's terrible. Or we can look at it as a positive opportunity and challenge ourselves. What can we achieve during this time? I wish you all a wonderful Shabbos. Looking forward to see you next week.